Yeah, again, not ideal. Sammy was awesome in the weekend, and obviously, well, he's become the second most capped All Black of all time, which is hugely impressive. So yeah, we'll no doubt miss his leadership and what he brings. And then, yeah, Tupou had been playing well all Super Rugby and was sort of hanging out for his opportunity. So it's a tough pill for him to swallow, but it's almost, we've got to the stage where anyone who hasn't had it, it's lurking, it's gonna strike soon, and poor Toops had to get it this week. But man, in terms of replacements, got a 40-odd test All Black, and Patrick Tupou to call in. He trained with us last week too, which was awesome. So he's up to speed and will slip in pretty seamlessly.
Is it almost similar to last week when you talked about those senior players needing to step up, I suppose, in the absence of a guy particularly like Sam this week? Does a lot of that responsibility fall on that leadership group once again?
Yeah, a little bit, and Sammy runs our line out particularly well, and Brody will sort of just take over that mantle. And look, he did that for majority of the rugby championship last year, so he's ready and looking forward for doing that. It's crazy that he's played 90-odd tests and his locking partner's always been the one that's run the line out. So, but he's done it at Super Rugby time and time again. So, but other than that, business as usual.
Do these sort of things over the last week or so sort of galvanised the squad a wee bit? Yeah, you can sort of deal with whatever's being thrown at you.
Yeah, I don't think it's just I think I've said a couple of times in the last week, it's not just the last week, it's probably been the last 18 months or ever since COVID struck, really, that guys have learned to deal with things and roll with the punches, and yeah, it's impressive the way it just doesn't fluster the boys. They just get on and know someone else will step up, and that's the way it is again.
How are you pulling up physically after that first test? It looked pretty hard out there.
Yeah, pretty good. Just general soreness. I think any time after a game, if you got just general soreness, it's always a good thing. It's when you get the odd niggle or something that affects training. It's a little bit frustrating, but personally feeling good, thank you.
Dave, Will and Jack are all back out training. How are they looking? And I suppose how much of a concern is it, that long COVID and then potentially not being able to come back as soon as you'd like?
Oh look, there's absolutely no pressure from players, management, coaches, anyone for them to rush back, and they were on a bike yesterday with some sort of heart rate monitor on, measuring how they respond to exercise, so all the precautions are being taken there. The last thing anyone would want is to risk them getting long COVID, so there's no pressure, and they'll have a few boxes to tick during the week to even be available, I think.
Paddy coming in, pretty cool that Foz was able to go to the board and get him eligible to play. Were you guys surprised that he was able to come in?
Look, that wasn't really something that I was involved in, probably above my pay grade around the stuff with the board like that, so we're just stoked to have him, yeah.
Ireland as well, they've had like 5 to 6 people out after that first test. They've had to call in some players. From your experience being on the other side of the world and potentially being in that similar situation, how much does that pull a team together, and for them to, I suppose, come back at you guys potentially stronger, or just pull them together as a group a little bit more for this Saturday?
Oh, it's hard for me to sort of comment on them really. If it was us, it's similar to what I spoke about earlier, as we back guys to come in, do a job. I feel like we've got in our position and up there, similar, they've been trying to build depth. We've got plenty of depth, so and if anything, it just means that the guys who are fit and available have to really step up.
Cool, go to Liam now and then Elliot.
Sam, first test of the year, imagine there's a lot of buzz and excitement in camp, sold out Eden Park. Is it easy enough to get back up to that same level to match, I guess, what's going to be a very desperate Irish team?
Oh, it's never easy to get up for like a test match, particularly straight after another one. There's always like that day or two of soreness and even a little bit of mental fatigue, I suppose, and then you pick yourself up and get excited again for what's coming. And that, to be fair, that didn't last long. As soon as we got down here, settled in, we got stuck into the review, and it's always quite energising, like highlighting and looking at areas where we can be better and where we need to make some shifts. So that was certainly the case. And then, under the roof is exciting too at this time of year. In the middle of winter, we're playing in perfect conditions. That excites this team that wants to play fast and use our skills.
Just on a personal level, I think it's 10 years almost to the day since you, Aaron Smith and Brodie Retallick made your debuts against Ireland. Do you give yourself a moment to reflect on something like that at all in a week like this?
Oh, I suppose I remember guys saying how it always goes so quick, and when you're a young fella you find that hard to believe, and then before you know it, yeah, you sort of find yourself in that position. So look, it's just, you reflect a little bit, but it's just cool that to be able to have, you know, lived out a dream for so long. Hopefully there's a few more to go to.
How much better do you need to be this week compared to the first test?
Yeah, great question. I think well, we both knew there was heaps on the line for that first test, as there is every week, but you know, we were lucky we managed to have a real good patch for that sort of 20 minutes in the back end of the first half. We piled some points on, but if you look at the rest of the test, I think it was fairly even. So we know they'll come out and have lifted their game from last week. So it's hard to put a number on like how much better, but we certainly need to be better than last week. Because if we delivered, you know, what we did last week this week, I don't think it'll be good enough.
And working again with Mike Bronze back in camp, how good's that?
Oh, he's a legend, Crono. It's like he never left, you know, fits in seamlessly. It's just so much knowledge and value, and he's got a bit of a gift when it comes to coaching in terms of his style. So yeah, really lucky to be able to call on Crono.